Welcome to Stone Age Stories. Imagine opening your eyes 30,000 years ago. The sun hasn't risen yet. The air is cold, and the last embers of last night's fire are slowly fading into ash. Around you, your family is still asleep. Somewhere beyond the trees, something howls. Your first thought isn't about your dreams. It's whether you'll still be alive by sunset. Most of us picture the Stone Age as a world ruled by terrifying predators. Giant bears, packs of wolves, saber-toothed cats waiting in the shadows. Movies have taught us that if you lived back then, your greatest fear would be becoming someone else's dinner. But here's the strange part. Archaeologists believe those predators weren't the biggest killers of prehistoric humans. In fact, many people who survived dangerous animals never survived the ordinary struggles of everyday life. So, if giant predators weren't the greatest threat, what was? The answer begins with something every living creature needs: food. For Stone Age people, hunger wasn't an inconvenience. It wasn't skipping lunch or ordering takeout a little later. It was a question of life or death. Every hunting trip was a gamble. Imagine a small hunting party leaving camp before sunrise. They quietly move through tall grass, following fresh animal tracks. Hours pass, then more hours. They throw their spears and miss. The herd disappears into the distance. They return home carrying nothing. Tomorrow, they have to try again. Researchers believe prehistoric hunter-gatherers often lived with unpredictable food supplies. Some hunts ended in success, many did not. Wild plants changed with the seasons, animals migrated, droughts could transform familiar hunting grounds into empty landscapes. A single failed day was manageable, but several failed weeks could push an entire group toward starvation. And hunger didn't only weaken the body, it changed every decision people made. A starving hunter might chase dangerous prey that would normally be avoided. A family with no food might travel into unfamiliar territory. A tribe under pressure could come into conflict with neighboring groups over the same shrinking resources. Suddenly, hunger wasn't just one problem, it created many others. Think about how different that is from our lives today. Most of us can open a refrigerator without wondering whether there will be food inside, but for thousands of generations, every meal depended on skill, cooperation, experience, and sometimes pure luck. Your ancestors didn't eat because food was guaranteed. They ate because somehow they found it again and again. But hunger wasn't the only invisible enemy waiting for them. Sometimes the danger arrived after the hunt had already ended, not from the animal they killed, but from a wound so small it barely seemed worth noticing. One sharp edge of stone, one deep cut across the hand, one scrape that became infected, and that tiny injury could become far more dangerous than the hunt itself. Because in the Stone Age, there were no antibiotics, no hospitals, no emergency rooms, and sometimes, the smallest wound became the biggest killer. But infection was only one piece of the puzzle. Sometimes the hunt itself was the enemy. Imagine standing only a few meters away from a wild bison weighing nearly a ton. Your spear isn't perfectly balanced. Your clothing offers almost no protection. There are no rifles, no fences, no backup plan. If your first throw fails, the animal doesn't simply run away. It charges. A single kick could shatter ribs. A horn could pierce the chest. One bad fall onto sharp rocks could leave a hunter unable to walk home. Archaeologists have discovered prehistoric skeletons showing broken arms, crushed legs, fractured skulls, and damaged ribs that later healed. These injuries tell an incredible story. Many hunters survived terrible accidents because their communities cared for them while they recovered. But not everyone was that fortunate. Some injuries never had the chance to heal. Researchers believe that climate was one of the greatest forces shaping prehistoric life. Long winters, sudden droughts, severe cold, and changing landscapes could dramatically reduce available food and force entire groups to migrate. Nature didn't have to attack people directly, it only had to make survival a little harder. But perhaps the most surprising threat of all was another human being. Our ancestors weren't only trying to survive nature. Sometimes they were trying to survive each other.